By Zaza Gabor. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Today's episode, Mike Trout and Aaron Judge both homered twice. A curious trade in the WNBA, and Kendrick Perkins joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the NBA play-in games that start tonight. In the East, we have the 10-seed Miami going to the 9-seed Charlotte, which has not been in the real playoffs since 2016. In the West, we have the 8-seed Portland going to the 7-seed Phoenix. Wilbon, which of these matchups do you find more compelling?
Tony, actually, it's Miami-Charlotte, and it's less the matchup specifically than the team. I want to see Charlotte. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do. LaMelo Ball is like, I mean, he's beyond nifty. I won't give him wizard status, which goes to Kyrie Irving with the basketball, but sometimes he can really be on it. And when you combine LaMelo Ball and what he's done with Knipple, who is my rookie of the year, and the best young volume three-point shooter in the NBA, and Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges, that's a quartet. It's not a big three. I'm not talking Hall of Famers. It's a nice foursome to watch. And I don't understand why Miami is not better. I don't understand with Bam and his 100-point game or whatever it was, Tyler Hero, Norman Powell, Wiggins, and Jaquez. I don't understand why Miami is just sort of 5-10 in their last 15 games, while Charlotte was 28-10. 28-10 and 10-4 in the last 14. Yeah. So I'm like, I want to look at Charlotte and go, is this something worth really watching? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I just want to start out with a shout out to Portland, okay, because they haven't been in a playoff in quite some time. And at the beginning of the year, they had that terrible circumstance with the removal of their coach, Chauncey Billups, who was accused of being involved in a mob betting scheme and is indeed awaiting trial. They turned to Tiago Splitter, who was an assistant, had not been a head coach there, and he brought him in, I believe, 42-39. And I don't think anybody saw that coming. No, so good for them.
Good call, Tom.
I agree with you. I mean, I would concentrate personally on the Charlotte-Miami game just because I'm more familiar with their rosters. I'll be honest, I don't really know anybody on Portland.
Oh,
and
yes, you do.
To realize,
there's a former wizard, you know, Denny Avdia.
The ex-wizard, Denny, who's doing a great job. He is doing a great job. And it took me a while to remember that Kevin Durant had left Phoenix to continue on his tour of every NBA city looking for something, someplace where he's happy. I find myself rooting for Charlotte, and I need to say this out loud. It's not that I don't like Miami. I like Miami.
Right.
I like Eric Spoelstra.
I know you
like
do.
Pat Riley. And I believe that last year's thing was not their fault at all. It was your boy Jimmy's fault completely, okay? But I don't think they can beat Miami, even with that 28-10 finish that nobody saw coming either, just like Portland. Miami is the kings of the play-in. This is their 4th straight year in the play-in. Yeah. They've won 4 play-in games. That's an NBA record, a dubious record. It's a dubious record, but it is the record, so I sort of think they're good. Yeah. But I like what Charlotte does. Charlotte will shoot it from anywhere. From anywhere. I like that.
By the way, Phoenix and Portland outperformed their preseason expectations. But I should give, Phoenix a shout-out as well. Nobody had them doing anything but finishing like dead last. Let's move to last night's baseball potpourri. Mike Trout and Aaron Judge each homered twice in the Yanks win over the Angels. Boston's Garrett Crochet gave up 10 earned over an inning and 2/3. The Cardinals' Jordan Walker hit his Major League leading 8th home run. Kyle Schwarber, my man Schwarb's homered twice against my Cubs, formerly his Cubs. And your Mets lost their 6th straight. Tone, the biggest deal from last night was what?
So I think down the road it may be that the biggest deal is Crochet. Okay, what if he ends up on the injured list? His ERA right now is 7.58. Last year when he finished second to Skubal for the Cy Young, his ERA was 2.59, and pitchers get hurt all the time. And I'm also tempted to talk about Jordan Walker. 8 home runs in 16 games. Mike, that's the second most of any Cardinal ever in 16 games, and I'll drop a couple of names on you that he's tied with, Mark McGwire and Stan Musial. In the last 2 seasons he played in 162 games, he had 11 home runs. Now he's got 8 in 16. But that's not the top. The top is Aaron Judge and Mike Trout hitting 2 home runs apiece in that game. And if you looked at the clip, you saw that Aaron Judge marveled at Mike Trout, and Mike Trout marveled at Aaron Judge. These two guys, if Mike Trout is fully healthy, they're two of the greatest hitters in baseball, along with Shohei Ohtani. That's the top three. Mike, they have 6 MVPs between them, and this is a mind-blowing thing I'm going to say. The last time that 2 players with 3 MVPs each hit 2 home runs apiece in the same game, the last time, 1956, Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, Roy Campanella and Stan Musial. 1956, before the Wilbon era, way before the Get Up era, but before the Wilbon era.
Right? So that was nice. I knew you'd go with that. And I will say that when I was going over to MLB last night to look at condensed games, I did stop on that one. As much as I didn't want to, I did stop to just look at that and marvel at it a little bit. But baseball's local. Baseball's local. And for me, the Cubs are in a place that's awfully dark to be just 2 games under 500. Maybe they're 7-9, something like that. Because last night, Javier Assad, he gives up almost a Garrett Crochet-like number, and his ERA is now 8+, right? He's up there, in that land.
Sounds like the Nats relievers.
And I'm looking at this, and Schwarber goes deep against his own team like this twice, and the Cubs hitters are just subterranean. Nobody's at the old Mendoza line on that in that entire lineup, and the Cubs were thought to have one of the better lineups, not as good as the Dodgers, but right up there in the National League underneath the Dodgers. And it's cold, and I get that in the East, and they played too many games at Wrigley too early. Schedule maker's an idiot. And so I'm trying not to get too carried away. But being down 13-2 to the Phillies last night made me just click right back to the WNBA draft. I didn't even stay on the Cubs.
So you think 13-2 is a lot? I watched the Nats against Paul Skeens last night. They were down 15-1. They took Skeens out of the game, Pittsburgh did, because their innings were so long that Skeens was getting cold. They had to get him out of there.
Yeah.
Right. Skeens, last year, in 18 of his 32 starts.
No support.
Got 3 runs or fewer to deal with. Pittsburgh spent some money. They got some hitting. Right now, he's had 38 runs in his 4 starts, and he's the best pitcher in baseball. Let's move to what you watched last night, the WNBA draft. UConn's AZ Fudd went first overall to the Dallas Wings, who drafted #1 last year as well and chose Fudd's UConn teammate, Paige Beckers. NCAA champion UCLA set a record by having 5 players drafted in the first round, including their center Lauren Betts to the Washington Mystics at #4. And the Golden State Valkyries, now in their second year, oddly traded Flau'jae Johnson, who they had just picked at #8 to Seattle for the 16th pick last night and a second-round pick in 2028. Wilbon, what stood out most to you?
Probably Seattle. Ultimately, no matter how it happened, getting Flau'jae Johnson was just a star. If I just rank the stars, star power chosen in last night's draft, yes, there are players who also, like her earlier in her career, won national championships. You mentioned the UCLA players who just did it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kiki Rice going to Toronto. But Flau'jae Johnson's the biggest star. And Seattle gets Flau'jae Johnson and our fam. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. What did they pull off here? So I cared about that. I noticed your Mystics getting 6 players in the draft, including Lauren Betts, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Olivia Miles, who is a magician with the ball, goes to the Lynx as they build again. They've got championship history. They know what they're doing there. They know what they're doing in Seattle. So I look at their draft picks and say, wow, this is pretty impressive this night they came away with. But Flau'jae Johnson winding up in Seattle may be the biggest wow to me.
Can I ask a question about that? If you are Golden State, why are you trading the #8 pick for the #16 pick, a first-round pick for a second-round pick and another second-round pick? How are you helping your team now? That's what I was thinking. It had to be that because this is a prearranged deal. Each team drafted the player that the other team wanted, right? So if Golden State wanted the player that they got at 16, you don't
Just
want her at
take
8?
her at 8.
I mean,
I don't get it either.
So I think it's capped because there's a lot of money right there right now for a lot of players. I was told this today, I hope it's true, that AZ Fudd, by being drafted #1 last night, will make 7 times more what Paige Beckers made last year for being drafted.
Last year.
Just last year.
Yeah.
Just last year. So there's money in there now, so maybe they do it for money, but the explanations were
it's pretty
obtuse
weird.
to
And
me.
by the way, if I'm going to go local shout
it.
out, I got to shout out to AZ Fudd, local as well. St. John's has the #1
That's
overall pick, and Sidwell Friends has the #5 pick. And pretty impressive for the DMV. I know you'll be happy about that.
I knew about it. As I live here. Let's take a break. Coming up, we will ask Kendrick Perkins if he has been particularly impressed by any of the play-in teams.
We'll also ask his thoughts on Lakers Rockets in the first round.
I just didn't understand the quotes by the general manager
They don't make sense.
of the Valkyries.
They don't make sense to me.
I mean, if you like somebody, you're at 8. You're in the first round. Take somebody you like.
I don't get it.
Right? Let's get into the NBA postseason with our great friend from NBA Today, ESPN NBA analyst, Mr. Kendrick Perkins. Perk, let's start with this. Mike and I talked about the Hornets and the Heat and the Blazers and the Suns in our A block. The other two play-ins are going to be the Magic and the 76ers and the Warriors and the Clippers. Are you particularly impressed with any of these 8 teams?
Well, look, I'm impressed with the teams that you guys talked about, but I'm going to tell you what I want to talk about is the Orlando Magic, right? They're on the clock. All eyes should be on Paolo Banchero. We expected him to take that leap this year, and he hasn't. In my opinion, he's digressed and has made nothing but excuses and has thrown his coach under the bus. And when you look at the position that they're in, I'm looking at him and saying, can you lead this team in a play-in tournament to get this team into the postseason? If not, then it is a failed season and it's a disappointment and it's an indictment on Paolo Banchero. And so I'm keeping a close eye out on the Orlando Magic because he's on the verge of getting his coach Jamal Mosley fired if they don't make the postseason.
Amen to that, Perk, and he shouldn't be fired because it certainly ain't his fault what's going on there. Let's talk about the first-round matchups that we do know. When you look and you see Lakers, Rockets, you think what?
I think pressure. First of all, I think it's going to be a brawl for it all, okay? And look, I understand Luka and Austin Reeves, they're not going to be playing, but the pressure is on Kevin Durant. He was brought over to Houston to move the needle. They got to the first round of the playoffs last year without him. And when you talk about the head-to-head matchup with him and LeBron James, KD, this is a legacy moment for him. He better not lose to a 41-year-old senior citizen and LeBron James with this squad that's built around him. Kevin Durant has to win this series. Otherwise, I will be coming back on here and we will be having a different type of conversation when it comes to Kevin Durant. Just think about it. Brooklyn Nets, disaster. Phoenix Suns, disaster. The Houston Rockets gave up a culture guy in Dylan Brooks and a guy that they drafted in the lottery in Jalen Green to bring you over to have hopes of bringing another championship. You better not lose this series to this Lakers squad.
Perk, on the other end of this, a team that's on the fly right now on a run of the Nuggets, who've won 12 in a row to finish the regular season. I thought the Nuggets at the beginning of the year would win the championship. That's the team I picked. How do you like how the Nuggets match up against the Timberwolves, and what do you see for the Nuggets in general?
I think the Nuggets are going to get upset. I actually got the Timberwolves picked to win that series. I am never going against Anthony Edwards. And this is a core group that that went to the conference finals last year. This is a core group that when they're in the right mental space, they're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. And so I'm looking at the leadership of Anthony Edwards. He had a career year this year. Julius Randle has finally found his flow again. They're healthy. They got Jaden McDaniels back. And remember, the last time we saw these two teams match up, remember how frustrated Jamal Murray was because of the pressure and the perimeter defenders that Minnesota threw at him. He was throwing heat packs at the officials, how frustrated he was.
That's right. Forgot about that.
We will get you out of here on this. You picked one upset. I'm going to ask you about another potential upset. The Hawks and the Knicks. Can the Hawks knock off the Knicks?
Tony, I'm going to say no. But I do think that series is going 7, right? But I'm going to say this. If the Knicks knew better, they'll do better. They better feature Karl-Anthony Towns. He is the most important player on the New York Knicks. He's the most important player going into this series. The Atlanta Hawks doesn't have one single person that could stop him. They have to utilize him on the offensive end. If you don't, then you're not going to get anything from him defensively. The one thing I would give the Knicks credit for, over the last 2 or 3 games of the season, they finally got back to the recipe of utilizing Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson in a 2-man game. We're going to have to see more of that in the first round. Otherwise, it's going to be a disappointment, and it's going to be something that's going to happen to them, because the Hawks ain't playing around. But I still got the Knicks in 7.
Now, Wilbon's head is exploding because he thinks Jalen Brunson is the most important player in the world.
He's the best player.
He's the best player, but Perk is right.
Important.
Cat's got to play. Cat got to play.
Thank you, Perk.
Thanks, Perk. Appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Happy time, people. Happy 51st birthday, Brian Daboll. Daboll was brought in to coach the New York Football Giants from the Buffalo Bills, where he was offensive coordinator for Josh Allen's early years. Daboll went 9-7 his first year in New York and won a playoff game. But Daboll was fired after 3 more seasons in which he went 11-33 and did not get a sniff of the postseason. Now Daboll is the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans and has Cam Ward at quarterback. He was hired by Robert Saleh, who also had a rough time in New York. Saleh went 20-36 with the New York Jets in 4 seasons and never made the playoffs. Saleh and Daboll became pals in New York and now will work together.
You know what Daboll should have said to Saleh during the interview? Draft Jeremiah Love and I'll come coordinate your offense. That's the deal. Anything else is a deal breaker. Jeremiah Love. I don't care that Mel, the great Mel Kiper, says, oh, you don't take a running back that high in the first round. Yeah, you do when he's this good. Jeremiah Love.
Happy anniversary, Don Calhoun. On this day 33 years ago, Calhoun, a 23-year-old Chicago Bulls fan, drilled an 80-foot shot to win $1 million. He then celebrated with the back-to-back NBA champions as if he had just hit a game-winning 3 against the Celtics. Days after this dreamlike achievement, there were whispers that the company that insured this promotion was going to negate Calhoun's basket because he had walked onto a couple of community college teams some years before. Bulls players, front office, and several corporate sponsors lobbied to get Calhoun paid, and he actually received 20 years of $50,000 checks, a Bobby Bonilla deal. Wilbon, do you remember this?
Yes, I wrote about it in the Washington Post a day later. Tony, those promotions in Chicago, going back to the old Chicago Stadium, used to get so much interest. I never left to get a hot dog before fans took those shots, including somebody you're familiar with named Don Wilbon was chosen for one of those. He didn't win $1 million though, because I'd have taken a percentage.
Did he hit the rim?
I don't think there was rim. Don't think there was rim involved.
A brief happy trails last night to Orioles manager Craig Albernaz. In the bottom of the 5th, Baltimore's first-year manager took a line drive to the face off the bat of his own second baseman, Jeremiah Jackson. Albernaz left for treatment but emerged less than an inning later as Jackson hit a grand slam that got the Orioles back into the game. And Jackson later hit a solo shot to cement the 9-7 win over the D-backs. Orioles pitcher Trevor Rogers told the Baltimore Banner of Albernaz, quote, "The fact that he didn't go to the ground shows how tough of an SOB he is. And the fact that he wanted to come back to the dugout, he's got a big set of onions on him," unquote. News today is that Albernaz suffered 7 fractures in his cheek orbital area and a broken jaw, and he'll be eating baby food for 6 weeks.
A PTI investigation reveals he's from Massachusetts, and you know that can only mean one thing. He must be a hockey player. He's got the toughness of a hockey player. Must have played hockey growing up.
We have a Gabor sister update. Magda was the 3rd sister, not the mother. I said Jolie was a sister. She was the mother. There's Jaja, Ava, and Magda. We're running out of show. We go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Former Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore received no jail time today. Your thoughts?
18-month probation. I don't know what to think. I want to dismiss that as quickly as possible. Stanley Cup playoff field is set. Any notable absences?
Yeah, for me, the Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin, and the Detroit Red Wings, certainly. U.S. Soccer Sporting Director Matt Crocker left for a similar job in Saudi Arabia. Your thoughts?
I got to think this is about a lot of money and not running away from a ship be sinking. That's what I hope. The Preakness will reportedly move 1 week later next year to put it 3 weeks after the Derby. You want to defend that nonsense?
I will defend it by saying that the Derby winner did not run in the Preakness last year. I believe they should be May, June, and July, separated by a month each for the Triple Crown. Last one. Astros have lost 8 straight. Will they snap that streak tonight?
You should not be playing at home and have a losing streak to the Rockies. So the Astros will win tonight, yes.
We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. Happy birthday, Michael Kornheiser.
Happy birthday, Michael, indeed. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. And now, on a ball night, here's Sports Center.